Overwatch 2 Season 14 has been out for about a half a week now. We got a bunch of new balance changes for Season 14, including some from mid-Season 13, and a brand new tank hero, Hazard, being added to the game. So there's a lot that's actually changed. So it's going to be your Season 14 hero tier list for your average tiers of play for ranked, mainly for your solo queue players. Keep that in mind, that when we do go into this, it's going to be more of your average tier player tier list. Is not going to be a tier list for top 500 or for like your high tiers of rank. It's going to be a tier list mainly with solo queue in mind, from like your mid-tier silver all the way up to like your mid-tier, high-tier platinum players, where the majority of the players are usually for ranked. So keep that in mind. If you guys want to let me know in the comments down below as well if there's anything I forgot to mention or forgot to include in the video, if I didn't explain something enough, let me know in the comments down below. All I ask is if you guys actually watch the entire video before you go into the comments, because more than likely I talk about everything in the video, and if you go into the comments before doing that, then you kind of waste your time and waste my time. So we're also going to be ranking everything in depth in this list. We're going to talk about everything. Some will be faster than others, but if you're looking for a tier list that with each hero that you literally just rank them within like 30 seconds, this is not going to be the list. So if you guys are expecting a really fast ranking video, probably going to be more of a longer video because there's a lot I do want to talk about. We do get a lot of changes, so keep that in mind. If somebody also wants to do timestamps, include them down below. Without further ado, let's get right into this. Leave a like, subscribe, share the video. We are on our way to 2,000 subscribers, so we're really hoping to hit 2,000 subscribers before the end of the year. We're really close. If you guys are new and have not subscribed yet, please subscribe down below. We'd really appreciate it. I'll throw the list on screen for you guys right now. We got the SS tier OP. This is the best of the best stuff that needs some type of nerfs going forward for mid-season. The best stuff, literally with no drawbacks, pretty much almost like free win tier worthy is your SS tier stuff. S tiers are really good stuff, like your best consistent picks. The ones that are really, really good but I don't think really need nerfs, or are just waiting to be like SS tier OP but are being held back by one or two other heroes that are preventing them from being like game worthy or like just running the entire game. A+ is your above average, A is average, B is more below average, C is more situational, D is borderline useless, and then you have F tier, which is the shit tier, pretty much unplayable heroes, which I don't think we actually have. So that's maybe one good thing, so that's kind of a spoiler. So without further ado, at top right of this, we got the brand new tank champion, Hazard. Where am I going to put Hazard on this list? I'm putting Hazard right up into SS tier. Hazard is the best tank in the entire game right now. If you guys haven't been playing the game at all, especially as the game goes forward, like we get further and further into the season, people start learning Hazard more and more and getting better at him. He's going to by far be the best tank in the entire game. I've already ran into a bunch of Hazard players that are just incredibly good. They buffed pretty much everything about his kit going into this season, whether it was numbers or quality of life changes. And everything that he got buff-wise, I think he did not really need. There's a few small things they could have did with him, like quality of life-wise, but I think they just absolutely giga-buffed this guy into oblivion for literally no reason. He's a really high skill cap tank, but if you're at the very least like average or above average at playing him, you can roll lobbies. I think that's just kind of what he's really doing currently. He has the best tank ult in the entire game. Pretty much being able to drop spikes on like an entire battlefield, pretty much the entire map. Like wherever you're fighting, the entire map gets covered with ult. And like just being able to make plays off of his ult, locking people down so they can't move for that duration is just absolutely broken. And especially with how fast it actually charges, it's incredibly good. You have a wall that literally knocks people back and does shit tons of damage. You have really good mobility. Your damage is really, really good. There's literally no drawbacks to playing Hazard right now. By far, probably the best tank in the entire game. If you guys are not playing Hazard, play him. You're going to win most of your ranked games. You're going to win most of your games in general, especially if you know how to play him and you get pretty good at him, because he just rolls most of your lobbies. It's incredibly good tank. By far, the tank and probably the thing so far that needs the nerfs the most going into mid-season. They said there was going to be a small mini balance patch probably either next week or the week after, right before the holidays. And we're going to get some small mini nerfs for a few outliers in the hero balance. Hopefully the nerfs are mainly for Hazard because I think he's beyond busted. And I absolutely fucking hate playing against him. This is the same thing that happened with Malga too when he was put into the game about a year ago. Malga got Giga buffed on release. He ran the game for like literally till mid-January before getting nerfed. It's going to be the same thing with Hazard, especially when people start getting even better at him. This is at the start, like we're at the start of the season. Wait until mid-season when you have people that are playing Hazard nonstop. And you have people that are actually really good at him, just parrying and rolling lobbies. If you guys don't hate playing against him now, I guarantee you will by time mid-season or even like a week or two after currently with playing against him. You're going to hate it. I already hate playing against him. We're only like 5 days into the season, so... Who told you? I told you guys so. I was the one that predicted exactly what they were going to do with Hazard this season. Giga buffed the fuck out of him after the playtest because people think he was underwhelming, but they were just all really bad at playing him. What did they do? They did exactly what I said. I'm a psychic, y'all. I can tell what they're going to do. Then again, it's Blizzard because they're so predictable. Let's talk about the other tanks. I'm just going to move like the other two tanks that are probably the other two ones that are the best in the game right now. These are the 3 tanks that are running the game for this season. If you want a tank and you want to actually win, these are the ones that are running the game. I think Hazard's by far the best tank in the entire game, maybe even the best hero in the entire game currently. He could actually be, you can debate that as well. A close second though is by far Orisa. She just doesn't fucking die. Shit's damage, doesn't fucking die. It's crazy CC. They buffed her ult. They gave her more armor, so she's even less able to die now. So, like, I don't know. It was last season, too. I think Orisa was, like, incredibly busted, too. So, and you got Malga as well, which also keeps getting a bunch of mini buffs every single season. He got a bit of, a health nerf this season, but it literally did nothing to him. The little health nerf they did to him to change out some of his armor with just regular health really did nothing because it's only literally like 25 or 50 health, which does nothing to him. So these are the 3 tanks. If you guys want to actually win, you're going to be seeing these in every single one of your ranked games. They literally can single-handedly carry the fucking lobby, and they're so fucking annoying to play against. If I were on the balance team, I would nerf every single one of these tanks into the absolute ground, especially Malga and Orisa. I'm fucking sick of them. Every season, it is Malga and Orisa, especially when they keep giving little buffs to both of them every mid-season patch or every season. I don't know what to tell you guys. Another season that is ran by 3 tanks that are just fucking atrocious to play against. I don't know who has any fun playing against Malga, Orisa, or Hazard. Even Hazard, I fucking hate playing against him already too. And we're barely into the season. Then we got Juno. I think Juno's really, really good. I still think Juno's incredibly good. I think she definitely does need some type of nerf. I do think she does. The thing I would nerf with her next, I think, is her ult still incredibly good. Or the auto-aim on her rockets. She has the auto-aim where she has the auto-heal where it locks onto your opponent and your allies. I think that could use a cooldown nerf or some type of nerf to make it less brain dead. I think it's just way too free currently. I'm putting Juno at S tier. I think she's incredibly good. She also pairs really well with all the 3 really good tanks currently. She enables them all very well, and she's pretty easy to play, so having a speed boost on a Hazard and a Orisa and a Malga is just fucking busted. Just that alone, it just makes her S tier by far. That Widowmaker. Widow's going right up into S tier. Right on up into S tier. By far the best hit scan and DPS in the entire game. She is so broken, especially for this past season. I think I actually put her way too low on the last tier list too. I forgot what I had her at. I think I had an S. I put her way too low on last season list. I think by far the best DPS in the game currently is Widow. I have been seeing Widowmakers that aren't even that good rolling lobbies because she's just so fucking brain dead. And they literally have no idea what they're doing, but they're able to get that 1 or 2 crucial picks every single fight when she's alive, and she's able to steamroll the game just based off of that. You have Widowmaker players right now that literally are some of the worst players ever, but Widow's just so fucking brain dead and free to the point where she's still able to roll a lobby. If you have nothing going after her, pressuring her, going after her and giving her pressure the entire game, whether it's the tank or a Sombra or something on your team, I don't know. And how she never got nerfed for this season just boggles my mind. She is the best DPS in the entire game, and they do not nerf her 2 seasons in a row. You want to know why? Because she's getting a skin this season, y'all. She had the mythic skin last season, and they don't want to quit wasting money on Widowmaker because they want to keep making money off her. They don't want to nerf her. That's the problem. It's greed. It's corporate greed. They'd rather jeopardize the balance of their game for an extra penny than actually nerf Widowmaker and make the game fun for people. So you got Tracer. I think Tracer's still really good. I'm putting Tracer at an A+ tier. She is checked a little bit, especially with a lot of these other like stuff that has like a lot of mobility and that just shits damage. But, like if you're really good at her, you can carry a lobby. I'm gonna put her A+ tier just because it kind of depends on the player. If you're not the greatest, or you're just average or above, that's kind of where I'd put her. If you're a god at her, though, she can carry a game. Reaper's still really good. He got a bit of a lifesteal nerf this past season, but I think he's still incredibly good. I'd put Reaper S tier for sure. Still incredibly good. And he's also good into like all these tanks that are also really good. He's pretty good into Orisa. He's really good into Amalga because he kind of is farming. And then Hazard as well, you can actually run away from pretty easily. He has to really run you down to actually get a kill on you, and you have lifesteal to kind of self-sustain to that still. And you kind of able to brawl him with damage numbers, so he pairs pretty well on some of these other tanks. So that's kind of why I'm still putting him really high. And he also is pretty good into Widow if you know what you're doing. You could argue Tracer is better than going into Widow, but I think, at least from what I've been seeing, for like your average tiers of play, if you want like a check to Widow, you're either going Sombra or Reaper. And I think Reaper so far is probably the best, most consistent option to deal with Widow. So there you go. So you got Venture. Venture got a small quality of life change to where Burrow, like the cooldown of her Burrow, actually it starts on cooldown now, even though if like you're in air or like if you're not actually under the ground. I'm gonna tell you guys right now, the quality of life change they gave her for this season literally does nothing. I've been playing Venture non-stop the past 4 days, just mainly because everybody's playing tank, so I'm not able to play tank that much because everybody's queuing for Hazard and trying to play the new tank. So I'm actually getting into really short queue times for DPS. So I've been just playing Venture and a few other things, which I'll talk about later in the video. But the main thing I've been playing over the last 4 days is Venture, trying to test if the quality of life change they gave her actually did anything. And I literally noticed 0 difference. So she's literally pretty much the same as last season. I literally don't notice any difference. I'm putting Venture at C tier. I just don't think she's that good at all. I really don't like. What does she do versus some of these other stuff? You get one shot at by Widow unless you're able to close the distance, which most of the time you can't. You really don't do anything to Malga. He shits all over you. You can run away from him, but you really can't outdamage him or really do much back to him. Orisa just knocks you around, stuns you. Hazard shits damage and runs you down and just kills you automatically. Or blocks off your path with a wall. So, like, what do you do versus some of these tanks? Nothing. I think the only thing she's really good into is, like, some of your more, like, slow, like, mobile stuff, or, like, stuff that has less mobility, like some of the supports or some of the other DPS that you can kind of dive on a little bit more freely. But apart from that, like, a lot of the tanks currently that are being played, she's just not really that good into. She doesn't really do much versus either, so I don't know. If I were to give her some buffs, I actually talked about what kind of buffs I would give her in the patch notes breakdown video that I posted earlier this week. I got some small nerfs. I think she's like A tier. I wish they would just revert her rework, because I think ever since she's been reworked, she's been a nightmare to balance, and she's either really good or really fucking garbage. Reinhardt, I think Ryan's really good still. Orisa, you could argue Ryan's not that good because Orisa's fucking giga buffed and really good, but if the enemy team does not have Orisa, Ryan is really solid still. The only thing that is holding Ryan from being S tier back is Orisa being incredibly busted. If Orisa was not as good as she currently is, Reinhardt would probably be SS tier and probably needing some type of nerfs again. And he got a mythic for this season as well, so you're going to be seeing him played a lot. Mercy. I think Mercy's still really brain dead. I'm putting her at A+ tier. Just a really easy brain dead support that literally takes no skill. If you have one brain cell and like 2 fingers, you can alternate between healing and just floating between people and alternating what beam you give them. That's all you really need to know how to do. Literally takes no skill and like literally no thought at all. There you go. Torb got buff. I think Torb's actually pretty solid this season, y'all. I think I've actually been playing a little bit of Torb, and he feels really good to play. I'm putting at like A+ tier. I think Torb's really good. I think Torb's actually pretty damn solid this season. They buffed his hammer now to where it does like 70 damage, which is actually crazy. And they buffed the turret and they gave it more health, which is really nice. So, and like a less of a deploy time. Really good changes. Hanzo's still really good. I'm putting Hanzo at S tier. I'm sorry. The one shot and the burst potential from Hanzo is just fucking busted. It really is. I don't know how many times I get one-shotted by a random fucking arrow all the way across the map. It is just so fucking busted. It is not as good as Widowmaker, like, don't get me wrong, but that's why Widowmaker is an SS tier, like, nerf-worthy tier. If Widow wasn't as good as she was, I'd maybe put Hanzo up there, maybe, or at least closer to S tier. And then the burst potential, I don't know how many times I walk around a corner. You'll have a Hanzo sitting behind a wall. You walk around a corner and they just throw the arrow barrage at you and they like the 3 arrows and just melt you in like 2 seconds before you're able to react. It's absolutely fucking crazy. I would nerf Hanzo. I would get rid of the one-shot. I don't know why they ever brought back the one-shot. It's fucking so busted. So brain dead and busted. It literally has no counterplay. It's just like Widowmaker, but just a lot more random. At least with Widowmaker, you know where she is and like you know that she's shooting at you most of the time. With Hanzo, half the time you'll be doing your own thing and you'll randomly get hit by a fucking arrow across the map and you'll wonder why I died. And then you're like, oh yeah, the Hanzo fucking killed me. I got randomly headshotted from spawn and I died. That's fun. I didn't even know what hit me. Winston's D tier. You want to know why Winston's D tier now? There is literally no reason to play Winston currently, even with his like 10 damage buff on his leap or whatever, which does nothing. Winston literally got outshadowed by Hazard. Hazard is literally a better version of Winston that does more damage, has better survivability, mobility, and a way more spammable broken ult. Why would you ever play Winston over Hazard when Hazard does literally the same thing? I don't know. Real sad. I think Winston needs some major buffs going into mid-season or for Season 15. By far, probably one of the worst tanks in the entire game. And it's not even his fault, it's just because Hazard is just so busted. And they're both really similar to how they play and what they really do. Zen's A tier. Oh, the only reason you're going to be playing Zen is for the damage orb. Like, the Discord orb is still busted, especially on a lot of the tanks. But his healing's still pretty bad, apart from when he ults, and he's pretty diveable and pretty killable, so I think A tier is solid for him. Bastion is really niche. I'm going to put Bastion at like C tier. I wish they would actually revert Bastion how he was in Overwatch 1. I really would. You could argue he's actually decent into some of these tanks that are being played. Like, he's good into a recent like Malga, and like he can melt Ryan Shield and stuff, but like Hazard literally just dives on him and fucking kills the guy every single time. Widowmaker eats him for breakfast, Reaper eats him for breakfast. Like, there's a lot of shit that just also shits on him. So you gotta be really careful what you play the Bastion into. He can be good, but at the same time, he also just gets shit on by so many things currently. That's kind of why I'm putting the C tier. Symmetra is actually really good. This is the highest I'm ever going to put Symmetra in probably one of my lists. I'm putting Symmetra at an S tier for this patch, y'all. They buffed her teleporter. You want to know why else she's really good? She is one of the best DPS in the game to pair alongside Hazard. We'll talk about the other one that you're going to be pairing with Hazard the most of the time too. The most common trio, at least for tank and DPS currently, which I might as well talk about it right now and rank it as I'm talking about it. Where's she at? Here she is. Here she is. The most common trio right now, what people are actually running, which is beyond fucking annoying, broken, makes you want to like uninstall and close the game worthy type shit, is you run Hazard, and then you also run Mei and Symmetra on the same team. So you have dual walls. You have Hazard wall and you have Mei wall. You're able to slow shit down and freeze them. And then you have the Symmetra there that also plays with the tank and with the Mei that is able to just fucking melt shit with her beam. And then you throw the turrets wherever you're trying to like block people at as well. And you can also have the mobility with the teleporter to dive on people along with the Mei to give them Mei mobility and the Hazard without having to use cooldowns. By far the most broken trio currently that's going to be exploited into like absolute obscurity. Like literally, this is what you're gonna see the entire season. You're gonna see Hazard, and you're gonna see Sim and May. That's gonna be one of your most common comps you're gonna see, especially even like your mid tiers of play for your average players. It's just so brain dead. Zarya, I think Zarya is still really good, but like she's just outshadowed by some of these other tanks. I put her like an A plus tier still though. I think she's still really good, just kind of underutilized currently because there's so many other better tanks. She can still roll your lower to mid tier lobbies though, which is what she's kind of a king at. So nobody actually waits out her cooldowns. They just fucking see her and they shoot at her barriers and her bubbles and feed her a bunch of free damage charge. That's all they do, and then you wonder why you get rolled. Well, that's why. I know, because your pea-brain stupid players on your ranked team don't know how to play. Cassidy's still really good. I'm putting him in A plus tier though. Soldier 76 got buffed, still really mid. Really good if you're a newer player, like if you don't have like any skill, he pretty much plays the game for you with an auto aim ult and literally COD 2.0 simulator. But like apart from that, if you're actually want to play the game, you want to win, like he just averages best. Lucio A tier. I think he's average currently, even with the buffs. I do think the healing buff is still really annoying though. I don't know why they gave that to him. That's one thing I would revert, but like the sound barrier thing where if you use the sound barrier, you land faster or whatever it is. I think that's a solid change for him, but I would still revert the healing change because I think that's still really stupid. Hog. Well, here's one good thing, y'all. Hog actually is decent into Hazard because you're actually able to hook him out of his ult. You can actually stun him during his ult if it like as it's deploying, because it has like there's a 2-second delay or something when it actually deploys before like the arrows hit the ground in the AoE or whatever over the area. If you can stun him out at the start of his ult before it starts landing on the ground, it cancels his ult, which is really cool. And then if he's actually like in the spike form when he's trying to like shield himself and like throw spikes at somebody in close range, you can actually stun him out of that as well, which is really nice. But apart from that, like he's only okay into Hazard. Like Hazard still does shit's damage into him, and like he also has deployable to kind of, if he uses it right, he can actually block you off and prevent you from like either getting heals or like blocking places you're trying to go. So if you're really good, you can win the 1v1 versus Hazard. Like, I'm incredibly good at Roadhog. Like, if you guys don't know, I'm at 130 Nintendo Switch Roadhog Prestige player currently. I think I just hit like 130 on him like a day or two ago. So, you won't see any other higher Prestige Roadhog player, especially on Switch. But, I don't know. I'd probably put him in like, I want to put him in like A tier, but like Orisha and Amalga just fucking being in every game too is just so bad for him. Like, I'll put him in like B tier. For your average tier player, like, that's probably where I'd put him. If you're a god like me that has literally like 75% and higher hook accuracy every single game and like knows how to play and knows what to do and everything about him and how to play him perfectly down to a T, then you can, I'd probably move him higher up. Maybe it's like A plus tier. But even me, if I go against Orisa now, like especially for this season, usually Orisa is just a free win no matter how many fucking hooks or how much damage I throw at her. She usually is just a free win. You gotta rely on your team to actually try to check her, whether it's switching to Ana for like Nade or like Bastion or a Junkrat, like some heavy fucking damage dealers just shit on her and try to help you, or like a Sombra to hack her out of her shit and try to help you that way, or a Reaper or just something to try to help you. Otherwise, you're forced to switch. I think right now, if you're playing Hog, if you want to win, if you're just like an average Hog player and you want to win, if you're me, you can't play anything else, so you just play Hog the entire game anyways. But if you want to win, you're kind of forced to switch off of Hog if you're going against Orisa or even like Malga. Malga, if you're really good, you can still kind of play around him because you can bait out his cooldowns and kind of pull him into your team and have your team kind of take care of him that way, and when he doesn't have his cooldowns, and have your team like dogpile onto the guy and kind of out damage him that way if he can't farm you. But even then, if you're not that good enough, if like the Malga player isn't a brain dead loser and at least somewhat knows how to play him, then you're still kind of fucked in that regard. So I don't know. I'd probably put him like B tier though. But Junkrat, I think Junkrat's actually really solid. I think if you want a really good DPS that actually shits damage, which is what you kind of really need right now, I think Junkrat's really good. I'm putting him S tier. I think Junkrat is one of the very few things that actually is really good into Malga and Orisa. The only shitty thing is like Widowmaker eats, like absolutely just destroys him, like eats him for breakfast, and then Hazard, you're okay into Hazard, but like he's able to dive you really easily. If he gets on top of you, like he gets in close range, you usually lose the 1v1 most of the time just because he has more health and he has a lot more damage at close range. So he's okay like in certain teams, but at the same time, like it's really going to depend on what you're really going against. But like, with the sheer amount of damage he's able to do, I think Junkrat right now is still really good. Put him like an S tier, just mainly because of the good tanks that are being played. If Orisa and Malga weren't SS tier, like I think I'd put Junkrat a lot lower, but he's really good into both of those. D.Va going right to A tier. I think D.Va's mid currently. I think she is literally the definition of mid for a tank currently. There's literally nothing special about her at all. Mid, really mid. Really no reason to play her either when Hazard kind of does her job. She's kind of more of a dive tank that wants like 1v1 people in the back line, like single out people and try to do damage that way. And Hazard literally just does her job like a million times better with how broken he is currently. Genji going up to A+ tier, really solid. Not going to talk about it very much though because nothing with him's really changed since last season. Ana, really good. Ana's going, at least for the supports, I think Ana's SS tier worthy. Incredibly good. I don't know what they really need to do to nerf her. I think the only thing that really needs to happen to actually nerf her is some of the tanks need to change, and there's a few things that do need to change, and I think that she would just drop automatically. I think the reason why she's incredibly good is because she's required on a team most of the time to deal with some of these fucking bulky ass tanks that just never fucking die with nade and sleep dart. That's kind of why you're kind of forced to play her. Here's one, y'all. Sombra. I'm putting Sombra at A tier. I think Sombra's average, y'all. I think Sombra now is actually the most balanced she's been ever in the entirety of Overwatch 2. I've been playing a really solid amount of Sombra this season, along with like Venture, and there's one or two other things like Torb I've been playing a lot of, but so far this season I've been playing a shit ton of Sombra, probably the most I've played in quite a while. And for experience from actually playing her so far, I think she's actually really balanced. You actually need to know what you're doing now, like you literally just can't farm the enemy team like she once could, especially after like right after her rework, she was really busted. Ever since then, I think she's now probably the most balanced she's been. I would not touch anything at all with Sombra ever again. I think the rework that they gave her, this last rework, now she's actually in a balanced spot. I would not touch Sombra at all balance-wise going forward. I think she's probably the most balanced she's ever going to be currently. She's still really high risk, but if you can actually get really good hacks off with her and like your team can kind of take advantage of that type of stuff, she does have really good viability in that way. And like you can also still 1v1 stuff as well. Like you have to land like a lot of your abilities. Like the virus too has a really slow travel time if it's like medium or long range too. It's mainly a close range ability, which is kind of risky. But if you know how to play her and you can kind of, if you cycle her cooldowns and kind of know what you can and can't do and like what fights you can and can't take and that type of thing, I do think she is pretty good in that aspect. But like if you're not really the greatest at her, I think she's like A tier overall currently. She's not incredibly busted, but like she's not bad either. She's like literally like average. I think she's probably the most balanced she's been in a while, which is really saying something because I fucking hate Sombra and I've been wanting them to nerf her into the fucking ground for I don't know how long now. I think she's actually in a balanced spot. Funny enough, ever since they reworked her one final time this last time, it was finally good. Ever since the invisible, like the infinite stealth's gone, being that she has her stealth actually on like a 5-second cooldown or whatever it is now, where you're able to only be in stealth for like a certain amount of time, I think that's what she really needed. The infinite stealth shit was the stuff that was making her really busted. Now she can't just sit in the enemy team's backline and farm because you have a cooldown on your stealth. So if you want to sit in your enemy team's backline, you can, but you're not going to be invisible the entire time. And if you're not invisible, then you can actually get dealt with. And unless they're P-brains, you're usually dead most of the time, or people are going to turn around and actually look at you and try to deal with you most of the time. Doom got a bit of a nerfs this patch. I think he's still really solid. I'll put Doom in like an A+ tier. I'm not going to talk about him very much though, because not much was really changed from last season. Moira is still incredibly good. Still got your P-brain losers in a lot of your games that are just play damage Moira. If you're playing damage Moira in my ranked games, you just sit and flank the enemy team's backline and like solo 1v1 the enemy team and never heal your own team. You get automatically reported if you're in my match. So if you want a really fast way to get banned and have to make another account, play damage Moira and then throw all your ranked games, and I guarantee you within like 1 or 2 days, you'll get your account banned. There you go. Just don't do that shit in my games. Brig, by far the worst support in the entire game, going to D tier. They nerfed her again just for the pro players and like your high tier ranked players. They nerfed Inspire from 5 to 4 seconds. She's garbage. Brig needs some major buffs. She needs her stun back, and she needs like a bunch of shit. She needs the armor packs, giving the health or whatever it was, the shield to people with the armor packs. That needs to come back. Like, she needs some major buffs. For your lower to mid tiers of play and like your average tiers of play, she is probably the worst support in the entire game. You're never going to see her play, and if you do see her play, she usually either gets farmed or does nothing the entire time. Unless your team's just god-awful and you're getting farmed by a Brig. That is literally the only reason she actually does stuff. If your team is really garbage, if you're going against a garbage team, that is the only reason she maybe works. Now, on the other hand, if you aren't solo queuing and if you're in a stack, you can make her work if you have somebody to actually play with and play alongside you. But if you're solo queuing, which is mainly what this list is for, she's garbage. D tier by far. I'm not going to put her in F tier, shit tier, because I think she's like unplayable, but she's by far the worst support in the entire game, which is really sad. I think Ball's still really good, but I'm going to put him in A tier. I think the main thing with Ball is like he literally does nothing. Like, you can't contest a lot of these other tanks. Like, what do you do versus Malga? He melts you. Orisa stuns you out and literally doesn't die from whatever you do. She has CC immunity and everything she really needs versus you. Malga or Hazard either just tries to shit on you and like lock you in a corner with the wall, or just runs away most of the time when you do drop on him. Like, the only thing you play Ball for is if you can farm the enemy team's DPS or supports. Like, if you can't do that even, like, then even if you're doing that, you're losing out on a tank. Your team literally has no tank half the time, if that's what you're doing. He's a tank that really isn't actually a tank, because you're never going to actually be on the point or, like, doing what a tank's supposed to be doing, because you're going to be diving the enemy team's backline all game, so I don't know. I just don't think he's really incredibly good, but just mainly because a lot of the other broken shit being played currently. Not bad by any means, just kind of not a good time for him balance-wise with all the other broken shit in the game. Ashe, I think, is A+ tier. Got a bit of a quality of life change with the coach gun. Didn't really do much to her at all. Still kind of the same as last season. Baptiste got buffed. I think he's still incredibly good. Really good. S tier by far. Really good. Sigma, I think Sigma's A+. I think Sigma's for sure A+ tier. Not really going to talk about it very much though, because literally nothing with it's really changed at all. Just your above average, more consistent tank that works on like almost every map or with most teams. There you go. Echo, I'm gonna put Echo at A tier. I think Echo A tier. Like, I think her and Pharah are kind of on the same level currently. Not really too much to talk about at all. Sojourn, we're gonna talk about Sojourn though. We're gonna talk about her. Oh, she's going up right up into SSOP tier. Here's the second best DPS in the entire game, y'all. It's Sojourn. They buffed her again. People were shitting on what my placement of her last season. People were not ready. They weren't ready. They must not have been playing against Sojourn that much, but I was the one that I think I had her like an S tier for last season or whatever it was. People said that was way too high because technically she couldn't one-shot somebody without a beam. This season, now she can actually fully one-tap somebody with a Mercy beam. So the most common thing now is if you're running Sojourn, usually you have a Mercy blue beam backing you up on you the entire game, so you're able to just fucking one-shot everybody and just shit damage the entire match. Sojourn with the Mercy beam is fucking busted. Even without the Mercy beam, she is still fucking busted. I don't know why they buffed her damage again. Why? Why would you buff her damage? That just goes to show you the balance team needs to be fucking terminated. Stupid balance team. Now we're back into a game where we're either playing Widowmaker, which one-shots you, or Sojourn that one-shots you. What is the difference? Either way, you're getting one-shotted, so just pick your poison, which one you want to go against. Fun game, Blizzard. Really good game. Fucking clown balance team. Junker Queen. Junker Queen's going down to B tier. They nerfed her for mid-season 13 for some stupid reason, and now she's not even really even that good. I really don't see any reason why you'd really even play Junker Queen currently at all. She gets shit on by most of the other tanks. She really doesn't do anything that really makes her worth picking at all. Like, her damage is okay, but like, she just falls over and dies to a lot of this other shit that's being played currently. And especially if you're playing a tank with no mobility currently, you go against a hazard alongside like a Mei or a Symmetra, and you have no mobility, and they just block you off and try to like destroy you like every single time with that type of stuff. You literally just die every single time. Like, at least with Hog, you have your own form of self-sustain, but like with her, you have a shield, like a shout that's on like a 15-second cooldown or whatever it is. It's not enough. Kiriko. We're getting towards the end, y'all. We're getting towards the end. I think Kiriko's solid. I'm not going to put her like an A+ tier above an A tier, but like I think she's overall average currently. There's nothing crazy about her. Solid heals. Like, the main reason why you're going to be picking her is mainly for her ult and for the cleanse. More of in like those niche situations if you need the cleanse on like on a nade for your tank or some other type of stuff. But I think overall she's average. Nothing crazy currently. Ramatra. I think Ramatra's average as well. Nothing crazy about Ramatra right now as well. Like, there's really no reason to play him. Maybe if you're going against Reinhardt, you can play him, but like, he just gets destroyed by a lot of the tanks being played currently and like a lot of the DPS. I don't know if there's really much reason to play him currently. Got Lifeweaver. I think Lifeweaver's actually really good. People are shitting on Lifeweaver. I don't know. I got like a bunch of people saying that I put Lifeweaver way too high on my last list. I'm putting him at like A+ tier for sure, though. I think Lifeweaver is really, really good. The only thing he really lacks is damage. You get close to this guy and like he literally has no offensive presence at all. He's literally just a fucking heal bot, which is the main problem that's always been the case with him. And they just refuse to fix it, but if you need really good heals, I think Lifeweaver, especially like utility with the grab, is still incredibly good. I call him more of the babysitter support because in like your lower to mid-tier games, you can kind of babysit your team and you're kind of more there as like a babysitter. You can pull people out of danger that are fucking stupid, that have no brain cells. You can kind of prevent them from getting killed most of the time, or try to have them play with certain people, or like stay with your team and kind of be a babysitter to your team, or like when your entire team's about to die, throw down a tree. Usually the tree ends up getting everybody back to full health. So like if your entire team's playing really dumb, a team can like a tree can maybe save like a team fight or a defense or that for those type of situations. So I know that's what I call him. I think he's at least like your lower to mid tier games. I think he's a lot better than like your high tiers. Maybe in your high tiers of play, he's not that good, which has usually always been the case. But for like your lower to mid tiers of play, I think Lifeweaver is actually really solid. By far, probably my most played support as well. So we'll just show you like how good he actually is. You got Alari. I think Alari is average too. I think by far average. I think the main issue with Alari, even with the buff to her Captive Sun, like you're going to be landing a lot more ults and getting damage with your ults. The main issue with Alari is like her pylon is just too easy to destroy. So, like, it's just too easy to destroy. I think that's the main issue. And like, if your pylon is not up, like your healing just doesn't do anything. The resource doesn't regenerate fast enough, and there's not enough resource. It heals a pretty good amount, but there's not enough of it. And like, if you don't have your totem there healing people, she just doesn't really do that much. Or she has okay damage. That's also been nerfed already, but she's the definition of like an average support. I put her like on the same level as Kiriko, but I think Kiriko has a little bit more potential just because you can fit her on a lot more teams for like the cleanse and that type of thing, and for her ult. Alari, it's more of like if you're going to be playing like a specific area and more of like a stationary team, that's kind of what you really want to run her with. But I don't know, she's more of an easier to play support too, because all you have to really do is just throw up a pylon and just kind of forget about it. So if you're not really that good at playing support, kind of more of an easier one to play. I don't know. Still gets a lot of value though. I just think she needs her pylon buffed. Either the healing on her pylon needs to be buffed, or the cooldown needs to be reduced. I think right now it's like a 14-second cooldown, which is fucking crazy. Way too high of a cooldown. I would reduce that down to 10 seconds. I think her pylon needs to be reduced down to like 10 seconds or 11 seconds. But then you'll have the high tier players complaining that it's broken, so I know you can't please everybody. Either you're going to please the 1% of the player base or the majority. I don't know. They usually choose the minority, though. There you have it, everybody. That is the list for Season 14. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Overall, like, a lot of the game isn't like an A tier to A plus tier. There is a lot of broken shit for this season, though. There's also a lot of really bad stuff. I don't know, like, everything B and below could use some buffs. Hopefully we get some Roadhog buffs. I think he needs buffs. Same with Junker Queen again. Venture needs some actual balance changes that actually buff her and do something. I don't know, Brig needs some buffs. They're not going to touch her and give her buffs, though, because they just nerfed her, so that'll piss off the high-tier players, so that's we can keep on dreaming for that one, but same with, like, a lot of your high-tier stuff. All this shit in high-tier play, get prepared to play with it on every single one of your teams, either on your team or the enemy team the entire season. Hopefully you guys are liking Hazard, because, get used to him. He's going to be in every one of your fucking lobbies going forward. Guy is absolutely fucking busted with everything he has. He's way too overstated and way too bloated kit-wise. He literally does everything. There you go. Same with a lot of these other tanks. Reese's fucking Giga buff broken. Mauga's still unkillable shit's damage. I don't know what to tell you guys. Widow and Soldier running the games for DPS. Literally probably going to be one or the other, if not both, in all your lobbies. And you're gonna be forced to run Ana because otherwise nothing dies. So if you don't have the nade, nothing fucking dies. So you're gonna be seeing the Ana in like all your games. Just because all these tanks are so busted. They really need to have Ana there to either give them the more heals with either the sleep dart utility or the biotic grenade, or on your team to try to kill some of these tanks, because otherwise they never die. Like, that's even with the buff DPS passive too, which really didn't do that much. So, let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Overall, another shitty season, like a lot of shit that's really unfun to play against being good. I'm gonna have to give this season at least balance-wise a fat L. Really bad season balance-wise yet again. Just like the last few seasons. Not very good. Then again, you have a literal team of clowns balancing this fucking game. They're getting paid to balance the game, but like somebody like me, or like some of the other people in the community that actually play the game are actually giving good balance changes and feedback for free, but you got them being paid to balance the game, and they've missed the mark since day one. Make that make sense, because it doesn't. Apart from that, I'm out of here. Hope you guys enjoyed. Leave a like, subscribe, share the video. Really appreciate it. If you guys want to become a channel member as well, for some extra perks, you can do that down below. With the join button should be right beside the subscribe button if you guys want to become a channel member as well. If you guys want to support the channel further monetarily, you can also super chat as well. All the money I make from the channel goes right back into the channel, so if you guys want to support the videos monetarily, or just by watching the video also helps. It's greatly appreciated. On our way to 2,000 subscribers, so hopefully we reach that before the end of the year. Got a bunch more stuff on the way, so you guys don't want to miss it. I'm gonna get out of here. Peace out, everybody. Thanks for watching.